I'm here so I won't get fined.
You think you know sports? Well, you don't know Jack. The You Don't Know Jack Show starts now.
Hello and welcome to the You Don't Know Jack Show with not Jonah, Aaron, and Carson today. It is just Carson with the two guests on the podcast today, and they are regular contributors to another podcast, the Armchair NFL podcast. And the host is Daniel Neira, and he is a Patriots writer for ArmchairAllAmericans.com. And Matthew Martinez, he's the Steelers writer for ArmchairAllAmericans.com, and also, as I said, contributes to the Armchair NFL podcast. Daniel, how are you doing?
I'm good, Carson. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's Thursday. The weekend's almost here. Even though I've got tests to do this weekend, it's the weekend's always good to have, and it's Super Bowl weekend, so.
It's not just Super Bowl weekend for me. It's the Super Bowl weekend for me.
It is the Super Bowl weekend as a Patriots fan. And as a Vikings fan, I have no idea what that feels like, so.
I'm sorry to hear that. As a Patriots fan, maybe I take the postseason for granted. But, I mean, I never take the Super Bowl for granted. It's as a Patriots fan, it's the ultimate goal. It's you won the Super Bowl or not. Otherwise, your season wasn't successful in my eyes.
Yeah, everybody, there's all kinds of people that are like, well, my team did really well. They got far in the playoffs. I'm like, no, it's a failure if you don't win the Super Bowl. And
Ultimately.
And the most disappointing pick in the draft, I think, is number 31. You were this close to the Super Bowl, and you get a crappy draft pick.
I never thought of that, but you got a very valid point there.
All right, and we've got Matthew Martinez, a Steelers writer. And Matthew, how are you doing on this Thursday?
I'm doing pretty good, Carson. I could be better though.
Could be.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Could have your team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no.
But we're still friends, right?
It's up
Not
in the
this
air.
Weekend.
Up in the air at this point.
Give it some time. Yeah, give it some time.
So we are going to already get into some talk about the NFL offseason and for the Steelers and the Vikings. Obviously, the Patriots, they have one more game left. But before we get Super Bowl talk's going to be towards the end, so if you're coming to the podcast looking just for Super Bowl talk, you'll have to go all the way to the end. But please just listen the whole way through. So we're going to talk about other Patriots news before we dig into the Super Bowl stuff. And want to get Daniel's opinion here on Jimmy G, as they've been referring to him as on First Take in the past. Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, yeah. Jimmy Garoppolo is on the trading block, possibly. What do you think?
My boy Jimmy. And I'm not going to say he's on the trading block. There are rumors that came out that said that the Patriots would trade him for a first and a fourth, per Adam Schefter, I believe. Yeah. And I don't think that's to say that he's on the trading block. I think that's to say that if you're offering a first and a fourth, the Patriots will consider it.
Yeah. Well,
but
if you're giving us
otherwise,
if you're giving us a Sam Bradford Vikings deal that the Vikings gave up to get him, then we'll gladly take it.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing we're not shopping him, but we're listening, I think is what the Patriots organization is kind of going for. I heard that the Browns are interested and that they want to make that a top priority, but I actually heard today that the Bears are interested, that they're moving on from Jay Cutler. Ooh. And that their number one priority is obtaining Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason.
Wow.
That's
interesting.
But I also heard that the Bears organization is not open to trading the number 3 overall pick in the draft for Jimmy Garoppolo. So instead, the Patriots, they might be willing to offer the Patriots a second-round pick, which would still be a very high pick. Essentially, it's the beginning of the second round. Essentially, it's a first-rounder.
I thought you were going to say that the Bears were not going to be very, or I don't even know what I'm going with this. Anyways, let's go to Matthew. Matthew, what do you think of Jimmy G on the trading block here?
We've had a lot of discussions like this. In our own private group chat with the rest of the writers, and it's always like the Patriots. All of the Patriots writers think that Jimmy Garoppolo being traded for a first-round pick is a done deal, or like that is his market. But I just cannot fathom a reality where a team trades a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's had like 3 decent games in his career.
He's had not even 3 games. Sorry to interrupt you, Matt. He's had, and as someone who believes that Jimmy Garoppolo is worth that first-round pick, in reality, he's had 6 quarters.
Yeah, exactly. And he's going into the last year of his contract. So if you trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, you're giving him all of the leverage. Okay, because if you trade a first-round pick for Jimmy G, that team is going to have to go in and re-sign him immediately. And he can just say, look, give me this amount or I'm going to walk, and you're out a first-round pick regardless.
Well, the Vikings gave up a first and a fourth for a 32 and 45 and 1 quarterback in his career. So, just saying.
Are you talking about Sam Bradford?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but like, and you're talking about this record. I don't know. I actually like Sam Bradford more than a lot of people.
I don't hate Bradford, but to a degree, I'm going to have to, as much as I believe in Jimmy, teams know what Sam Bradford was. The Vikings knew what he was going into the trade. Garoppolo, unfortunately, is still a massive question. Don't get me wrong. He balled out for 6 quarters. Like, he lit up on the Dolphins in the first half. He played well against what, at the beginning of the season, was a Super Bowl contending Cardinals team before they kind of just fell apart. But Jimmy Garoppolo, as great as he looked, even almost as, in my opinion, at times almost Aaron Rodgers-esque or Tony Romo-esque. Like, I heard a lot of comparisons to both those quarterbacks in his 6 quarters of play. But there's still a massive question mark to, is he really that good? Because Matt Castle was with the Patriots, and a lot of people thought he was going to be great. He did 1 great season with the Chiefs, and then after that, kind of did nothing. And then B, because he only lasted 6 quarters, how durable is he?
Yeah, that's
which is kind of very important.
Right. Well, and I think for my take on this, I would say I could honestly see Jimmy Garoppolo being a system quarterback, honestly. With the system of Josh McDaniels, I think Josh McDaniels is a good coach, even though he didn't do very well in Denver. I think he's a good coach, and I think being behind Tom Brady really helped him. I think it's kind of the same thing like with Favre and Rodgers. Obviously, Rodgers is extremely talented without Favre, but just the mental part of the game is very, very hard to understand, and I think Brady helped Garoppolo do that, and I just don't know if he can be successful with a team like the Browns or the Bears, honestly.
Well, 2 things. I kind of hate the word system quarterback just because they're generally used in a derogatory way towards my quarterback. So I hear those words, and I'll be honest. It makes me cringe a little bit. But that being said, obviously for the 6 quarters Jimmy played, the New England offense was tailored to his strengths. So to a degree, it was a system that he was playing in that helped him. That being said, every team should be a system team. If your team isn't playing to your quarterback's strengths, then honestly, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The other thing here is, I think it's you can't expect, like Tom Brady, as great as he is, if you throw him on an awful team, he can only do so much. Same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. He might be a good quarterback, potentially a great quarterback, or maybe even just average to above average quarterback. But you're not going to know that if he goes to a bad team.
Right.
That being said, I feel like the Bears would be a better destination for him just because you have a good running back, you have a great offensive line. How many of those of the Bears offensive line made the Pro Bowl?
I think
Like,
for
it was
sure
at least
one. Maybe
yeah.
maybe two. I don't know.
I thought it was two. Not to mention you have Alshon Jeffrey, which is going to be good. I mean, for Jimmy Garoppolo to throw to. I mean, and there was that defensive player that I don't remember his name that they drafted, I think, last year, who's been pretty good this year. So I think the Bears, honestly, would be the better destination for Jimmy Garoppolo. And if they want to keep him, it's just like that little more motivation, like, hey, we have a good team here. You know, we traded a first rounder for you, but we're not giving you nothing. We got you a good running back, we got you some good receivers, and we're working on a defense for you, Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah,
many.
I pretty much.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I pretty much agree with that part of Neira's assessment about how little he's kind of done. Like he's only had 6 quarters. Pretty much just what I said earlier.
Okay.
That being said, before we move on, I'm just gonna say I do think Jimmy Garoppolo's worth that first rounder. Maybe not a 1, 2, or 3. I'm saying not maybe a 1, 2, or 3 overall, but I'm saying he's worth either a high second or a low first.
Okay. Yeah,
I would only give it second at most, but that's just me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, would you take a second round pick for him? If another team wouldn't want to give up a first rounder, would you take a second rounder?
Well, me going through my eyes or me going through Belichick's eyes, because Belichick is probably going to see the first. Me personally, it would have to be. It depends what you're packaging with that second rounder, because otherwise I'm going to say no. And maybe if it's the third overall, like maybe if it's the Bears second rounder, then sure. But if you're giving me like a mid to low second round pick, I'm like, are you giving me a third rounder with that too? Or is it just a second round pick?
Second
it depends on what the package is here.
Second and a fifth.
Well,
has to be a high second. That's all. That's what I have to say. It has to be a high second.
Well,
we'll give you a 6th round pick, and you can draft another Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you guys think that the Patriots, if they don't trade Jimmy Garoppolo, are they going to re-sign him?
It's going to be difficult. That's why I honestly believe he should be. I believe he should be traded.
So if you believe if he's not going to be re-signed, but the best you can get is like a second rounder, I would take that deal in a heartbeat. I would take that. I mean,
if you can't get
Bill Belichick, he said that you should. Bill Belichick has said that teams should generally be drafting a quarterback like every 2 years. I think he's gone on record and said that.
See, that's
that would be on par with what he said.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Agreed,
that's what they did with. Dang it, I lost my thought. Daniel, go ahead. What you were going to say?
I was going to agree with that, and I think at this point it's not that the Patriots wouldn't re-sign him. I think Jimmy Garoppolo would not want to be re-signed unless he's willing to sit on the bench and continue with what the Patriots have to offer here after Tom Brady, which potentially is until 2019, I believe his contract extends to. And who knows, with the way he's playing now, Tom Brady might be playing until after that his contract expires. He might get an extension. So I don't think Garoppolo would want to re-sign here personally. And at that point, then take the second rounder, because either you get something or you're losing out of either a second rounder or your potential future quarterback. And that's why not only do I think the Patriots drafted a quarterback in this last year's draft, not just to, give a backup to Jimmy Garoppolo during this 4-game suspension, but also in case they saw Jimmy Garoppolo's contract coming to an end, they needed something else.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the Jamie Collins situation, where you traded him because you knew he wanted big money and you weren't going to re-sign him because you didn't want to pay him that much money, and so you're just like, all right, well, let's get the most out of him. Like Matthew's point, I think the Patriots would want to get the most out of him if they were not able to get a great deal for him, but they weren't going to re-sign him. I think they would want to get something out of him at least.
Yeah, that being said, if you're Belichick, I would not be surprised to see Belichick trade Garoppolo for a second and a fifth, and then flip the second for a third and a fourth, and then all of a sudden you just traded Garoppolo for a third, fourth, and fifth rounder.
Right. Any last words on that, Matthew?
No.
No, I don't actually. I think I've already said what I was going to say.
All right, Daniel.
No, that's all I got to say about Jimmy.
All right.
Except I love the guy, but I mean he's a very, very beautiful man.
The Italian stallion.
Is he as handsome as Tom Brady though?
See, the thing is, no, it's because Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty. Is the thing. Tom Brady's handsome. There's a very big difference.
Yeah, that's true. So what do you go for, pretty or handsome?
Well, I generally go for girls, but
that's good.
If that wasn't the case, then I don't know. I mean, one's a goat, one's just an attractive guy, and then I think I'd go for the goat.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going with lifetime accomplishments, I mean, you got to definitely go with the GOAT, right?
I mean, if I rolled that way, then I'm going full straight on like gold digger. I'm going for Brady.
Yeah. Maybe you can get if you did turn the other way, then you could get some money out of his wife that's making millions too.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if the opportunity were to arise between Brady and Giselle and me, I'm completely okay with that. What kind of show is this? Is this a family show?
Yeah, no, we usually do slip the explicit tag on here, so that's a good thing.
Okay.
Not that there's been swearing, but this might not be for kids. So
I don't think so. Not at this point. What are we? 10 minutes into the show already?
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes in already, and we're just on one topic. So here we go.
Damn! I'm sorry. My man crush is on Patriots. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So let's switch gears. Stick with the Patriots, but switch to a different topic. They will be playing the Raiders next year in Mexico City. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think playing in Mexico is a good thing for the NFL?
Yeah. I have no problem with it, but that's also because the Raiders are giving up a home game, not the Patriots. If the Patriots were, I'd kind of be a little upset. But otherwise, I think it's great for the NFL. You're expanding past just America. You're opening it up to other countries around the world. I think it's great. Like, I mean, I'm personally Hispanic. I have a lot of Hispanic family, and at first when they come and they see the sport, they don't get it at first, but they enjoy it. And now I have a whole bunch of Hispanic families that loves the sport, and they're excited about the game this Sunday because the Patriots are playing in the Super Bowl. So football is a great game, and you're just expanding it. And I mean, obviously the NFL is going to love it because they're going to make more money off of it if they expand their market. But I think it's just great because now you're including other people and you're including other countries and just spreading the love.
Martinez?
Well, I mean, that's just kind of like, I think it's better than London because London, that's a long ways away for every team in the NFL, and Mexico's a lot closer.
You mean it's a long way for the Jaguars, right?
Yeah, for the Jaguars, yeah.
They should just move there.
Yeah, if the UK were to get a team, it'd be the Jaguars.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, the Jaguars, it seems like they end up going to London every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why not? You might as well expand that terrible or small fan base. Sorry, Jaguars fans, if you're listening.
That's why I disagree to send the Jaguars. Like, sorry again, Jaguars and Jaguars fans, but if you want to expand the market, you send a good team over there so foreigners can see like good football, and essentially that.
Maybe they're just happy to have a team, I guess.
I think the new owner of the Jaguars is pretty good though. So I think he's smart enough to get the Jaguars on track in the next few years.
Is it not Shad Khan anymore?
Yeah, no, it is Shad Khan.
Okay.
But he's only been the owner for a couple years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't keep
He
track
just
of
seems
the
dedicated to that
Jaguars
fan
owner
base.
situation. You might know more about that than I do. I'm not a Jaguars guru. Maybe we should get a Jaguars writer on here soon too, so he can inform us.
I know nothing about the Jaguars really, except for. No, I know nothing.
Except for most of their seasons end like this.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I know they play in London and in Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, they're Florida team, right?
Yes, that is
Yeah.
right.
There we go. I had to think about it for a second because there's other Jacksonvilles, and I'm like, wait, no, it's Florida.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
Oh, I got a new drop. Sound drop for you guys that I just added today. I'm gonna play it for you. See if it rings a bell.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Did you guys hear that at all?
Nah, dude.
I did not know.
Okay, never mind. Maybe it didn't work.
I don't know.
Anyways, moving on. I think the fans heard that. It was the lady on Dr. Phil, Cash Me Outside. How about that?
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was. So I decided to make our sound drops a little bit more in modern times instead of just the normal stuff. So,
Might have to adopt
That makes
sound drop.
sense.
yeah,
We don't really use sound drops on ours. Maybe we should.
yeah.
Are we going to become that podcast, Martinez?
That sounds incredibly complicated and like something that I don't want to work with.
That's fair. Okay.
It's
I'm not the
way too
producer. I'm just the host.
that stuff is way too complicated for me.
That's fine.
All right.
All right. So what else do we have next?
Well, I guess my thoughts quickly on Mexico City. I would say it's a good idea just because the NFL is always trying to expand, and I think Mexico could have a lot of money to be made there if they get more interested in the NFL. Obviously, they're a big soccer country, and I think if they get an NFL team, they'd even obviously get more interested, and then the NFL would continue to grow their billion-dollar business and become a trillion-dollar business someday, maybe.
Well, Mexico already has football, so now they need to have football.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was my stupid joke for that.
I laughed.
Thanks, Martinez. You made me feel better.
There's the studio crowd laughing.
Yahoo!
Do we have a studio audience?
Yes.
No.
They're laughing. They're applauding.
I feel like you're just saying that to make me feel better.
Could you hear any of those?
No.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I guess that doesn't work on your side, but I'm pretty sure our listeners got to hear it. So they heard the applause that we were giving you, or that, yeah. So anyways, moving on to Backpack Gate, question mark, hashtag Backpack Gate.
Oh, God. Which I'm surprised, by the way, is a non-story.
Yeah.
For once in my life, I feel like, or at least in the last few years, that the Patriots are not on a cheating scandal. And by that, you can't see it because this is a podcast, so I have to remember that sometimes. But over here, I'm throwing up air quotes for cheating.
Yeah. Cheating.
Yeah. Because whether you believe the Patriots cheated or not, that's a topic for another day, and that's an argument I can have with any one of you another day. But me and the other Patriots writer on Armchair All-Americans were going off saying how this better not be a story because they're going to say that the Patriots were behind it, that Bill Belichick sent an elderly reporter to steal Shanahan's backpack with the game plans.
But
But nothing came out of it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, some people, I guarantee you, some people still think so. But
yeah, maybe this 49ers person works for the Patriots secretly, or secretly hates the Falcons. I don't know.
I mean, Brady's an ex 49ers fan, and he's from the Bay Area. So, I mean, maybe there's connections were there. You never know.
You never know. You never know. But I think it's just another one of those things where people are just trying to find reasons to hate the Patriots.
Yeah.
There's
I'm not
plenty
a
of
Patriots fan, but-
there's plenty of other reasons to hate the Patriots.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, can you,
there
like,
it
if you
is.
can hate my team for a legit reason, then, power to you. But I hate it when it seems like every little thing the Patriots do successfully, they get a backlash for because the Patriots cheated or were crybabies or some other excuses. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just real frustrating.
Yeah.
I just want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I wanna get into like the analysis of football games. Like, why is Team A gonna win over Team B? Why are the Patriots? What do the Patriots need to do to beat the Falcons? What do the Falcons need to do to beat the Patriots? I don't want to be talking about a stupid ass backpack.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, I know. It's just some extra news that I got to throw in there, just for the hell of it.
It's a non-story, and luckily for honestly both teams involved, it's a non-story.
Yeah. Quickly, Daniel, since you are also a Celtics fan, according to what you said to me yesterday.
I am.
Nice comeback win for the Celtics last night.
Yes, because we have Isaiah Thomas, the king in the fourth. I mean, I don't know how much you guys watch NBA, but Isaiah Thomas goes off in the fourth quarter. That is his home. That is his domain. He had last night 19 of his 41 points in the fourth quarter, and that's what he does. And because the Raptors, which it seems up until this point have been an arguably better team than the Celtics, were ahead of the Celtics. And then Isaiah Thomas decided, like, oh, what time is it? Oh, we're in the fourth quarter. Let me go off real quick. And I swear to God, like that short 5'9" mofo, he just doesn't miss in the fourth quarter.
No, he went off, and honestly, I was talking to Aaron, the other host on the podcast here. He's a big Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and I said, you know what? You better watch out for those Celtics because Isaiah Thomas, he's looking really good right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, his defense needs work, but that's also because he's only 5'9". But his offense is no problem there with his offense.
Yeah, and they're a pretty good defensive team all around, and I think
Cleveland, all around, yeah.
And Cleveland, I think, does struggle shooting at some times. Obviously, sometimes they go off like LeBron did last night over my Timberwolves, unfortunately. But that's to be expected. They're the Timberwolves, and the Cavaliers are the Cavaliers. So.
Yeah, which is fair because there's two super teams really in the NBA right now, and that's the Warriors and the Cavs.
Right.
So it's kind of granted. I mean, also the Spurs are really good and whatnot, but those are the two teams in respective conferences that people want to upset, and so it's understandable if they come in. Like the Celtics have lost to both the Warriors and the Cavs this season, and although honestly they were both closer than a lot of people would have expected, I was not too surprised. Mm-hmm. Although last season, by this time, the Celtics had beat both the Warriors and the Cavs. Actually, not the Warriors yet, but they beat the Warriors later on this season.
Yeah. Any analysis from our NBA analyst, Matthew Martinez, over there?
All right. I'm going to give you some names. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Klay Thomas, Isaiah Thomas, and Steph Curry. What do they all have in common?
They all really good.
30 points in January. I don't know.
They are all NBA players whose names I know.
I'm gonna
I
take
do
that you're
not-
not a huge NBA player person.
I do not watch shooty hoops now.
Okay.
Okay. Is that
and did you
hint to
just
move
learn
on?
of Isaiah Thomas's name? Hold on, before did you just learn Isaiah Thomas's name?
I would not have said his name had you not spoken first.
Gotcha.
So one more question, and then we'll move on for Matthew's sake here. Would you would you trade for Melo if you had
No.
the opportunity? Not at all.
No.
Not even
No.
off the bench?
I don't like Melo. No, it depends what you're giving up for him, but
Picks.
I don't want him for what the Celtics have to give up for him. In my opinion, he's past his prime. He's not going to help you get over the hump to beat the Cavs. I honestly don't think so. He's slow.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good shooter sometimes. I'm not a big Melo fan. I never have been. I mean, maybe once when he was on Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide.
Yeah.
If you guys remember that show.
I do.
Maybe maybe I liked him in that episode, and that's because I'm like, hey, that's a basketball player whose name I know. But no, I don't care for Melo. You know who I want? I want DeMarcus Cousins. That's who I want on the Celtics.
Oh no.
But that's who I want on the Celtics. Give me DeMarcus Cousins. I'm happy with that. But no, I don't care for Melo. I don't think the Celtics should trade for Melo.
But I mean, I think you guys should make some sort of a move because it's like the Celtics have got all these picks, and pretty soon you're not going to have any roster spots for these young, talented players.
Yeah, it's kind of an issue the Celtics had last draft, which is that's a whole other monster there. But no, I don't want Melo. Trade for DeMarcus Cousins. I'm more than happy to make that trade.
All right, as long as his off the field or off the court stuff doesn't get in the Celtics in trouble or something.
I mean, he's also on a losing team. I think if you put this is a very Patriots mindset of me. I feel a lot of times if you put a problem player on a winning team with a winning environment and a good, strong coach, those off the field issues tends to get minimized or go away completely.
Yeah. Yeah, I can go with you on that one. All right, now we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk Steelers, and that'll be right up Mr. Martinez's alley. So we'll talk about that when we come back right after this word from our sponsors. Back after this. Do you like shopping on Amazon? Well, now you can do it by helping the show at the same time. Go to the website youdon'tknowjackshow.com and click on any of the Amazon links, and then you can bookmark it. And every time you shop on Amazon, click the bookmark. It's the easiest way to support us without any extra cost to you. Now back to the show. All right, we are back on the You Don't Know Jack show. And Mr. Martinez, got a question for you. Do you think Big Ben will retire this season, this offseason? If not, how soon do you think he'll stay around? Or how long will he stay around?
I don't think he's going to retire. And in fact, the majority of the Steelers organization, the people close to the organization, don't think he will retire. He has been talking about it behind closed doors, allegedly, for the past couple years, though. So I think he is closer to retirement than not. I don't think he's not going to be playing until he's Tom Brady's age. So I definitely think that they need to be looking at his replacement starting about next year or the year after that. But, they will be looking for a quarterback this season. Landry Jones, their backup, has been he's entering – well, this is his contract expires. Yeah, and so they can either re-sign him, which I hope they do. Most of Steeler Nation doesn't. Or they can find a new one.
Jimmy G and Landry Jones headlining this free agency class at quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Landry Jones is not... he's a career backup.
I was about to ask that. I'm like, is he the answer to Ben's retirement? Because nothing against he's a career backup is what he seems like what you said.
Yeah, no, he absolutely is. The reason why I want him back is because he knows the playbook, and it might take for a quarterback. It might take a year or two to get fully adjusted to the Steelers playbook, Todd Haley's offense.
Actually, that might not be bad because a lot of the pieces are there for the Steelers. If Ben retires, that means Landry Jones is now in the under center. Steelers maybe not do the best, get a higher draft pick, and get another piece of talent on there, or quarterback, and then all of a sudden, that's you have a Super Bowl team again, like really fast.
Yeah, but at the same time, I really don't want to see a full season of Landry Jones.
Okay, that's fair.
Like I said, most of Steeler Nation hates him. I want him back because he's an okay spot starter. But if teams get multiple weeks of game tape on him, it's just going to be a mess.
Wait, what happened to Michael Vick? Wasn't he your backup last year?
That's what I was just gonna say.
Good God, that was awful.
Was it? I thought wasn't he a decent backup for a bit?
He was not. He was not even a little bit.
No, I knew he got injured, but I tuned into a Steelers game for maybe like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh damn, Michael Vick is out there.
Yeah, I know. He's
hold on. When I saw him, though, I'm just like, he's still in the league.
Yeah,
I had no clue he was even still around.
Yeah, no,
he's still got arm strength, but
he can still run. Can he?
He's just he can still run. He's still has a killer arm, but his accuracy's awful.
And actually, I heard in the last week, I think he's actually going to retire. So it's like, well, shouldn't he have retired like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not. He's already been retired by the league.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is he even on a team? Is he even on a team?
I don't think he was.
No, he's not.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, you should have retired after the Steelers released you. I mean, come on.
Okay, so Matt, obviously this is never going to happen, and take draft picks completely out of the equation. How would you feel about Jimmy Garoppolo on the Steelers?
Ooh.
As a starter,
yeah,
I would be uneasy just because I don't know what he is. I don't know what he is, but I'd feel better than Landry Jones.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
And like I said, taking draft picks out of the equation, like not even like if he was just there available to use. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot better. I think Jimmy G would do a lot better in a better organization. I just don't think he'd do well with Cleveland. I don't think he'd do well with Jacksonville.
No.
I don't think he'd do well with any of those bottom 10
I think it's kind of hard. I think it's kind of hard to ask a quarterback to do well in those kind of organizations. Like even
I don't know. I think Brady,
like the lone
Rodgers
exception. Yeah, but they can only do so much. They're not going to be they're not going to be a playoff or Super Bowl contenders is what I'm saying.
But you know what Rodgers did with that Packers roster? That Packers roster was awful, and he elevated that roster. As much as I hate to say it, he absolutely elevated that roster, and I feel like he would make Cleveland at least a playoff team.
Something about a table and running it, and
yeah,
that didn't end too well.
No more of this.
No more tables.
All right. So, next question for you, Matthew. How much money do you think Le'Veon Bell is going to get? Because it sounds like he has the option to hit free agency if he's not franchise tagged.
Yeah, well, the Steelers have already pretty much said that they're going to be franchising Le'Veon Bell.
Okay.
That doesn't mean he's going to play under the tag. I think they're just going to do that if they need more time.
Mm-hmm.
And people were freaking out because, I don't know if you guys know this, Le'Veon Bell is a part-time hip-hop artist. He raps and does stuff.
Really?
Does he really?
Yeah, he does.
Oh,
in
man.
fact, he just dropped a Skip Bayless diss track.
Oh, wait, I heard about that. I didn't listen to it.
Shrimp Bayless, yeah.
I
Yeah,
saw
but
somebody
my
talking
God.
about that.
Yeah, in one of his earlier songs called Focus, he says, I'm at the top, and if I'm not the closest, I'm going to need 15 a year, and they know this.
Oh.
And so people
Damn.
freaked out. Yeah, people freaked
Oh,
out because
my.
he's talking about 15 million a year.
Can the Steelers
But then he
afford
kind of
it?
backed off. He kind of backed off and said, I'm not real greedy.
Yeah.
And so I think they'll be able to get him for maybe 11 to 12 million a year, which is still less than what the Vikings are paying Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, don't worry, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and like the Steelers have $41 million in cap space, I believe. And so after they sign Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, which I think they'll re-sign both,
Then they'll have
they'll
nothing.
still have like 20 million left over.
Oh, you think so?
They'll still have like 20 million. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Antonio Brown's going to want to get at least a $10 million a year price tag. I don't know. If not
Back
more.
up the Brinks truck.
And maybe,
Yeah, but I mean,
and
in
Le'Veon
terms
Bell's
of
probably going to want
calories.
close to that. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're talking, $20 million yet, but still, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like both of those guys are going to demand a lot.
So you know who Le'Veon Bell is friends with? He's friends with LeGarrette Blount. You know who Blount plays for?
Oh no.
The Patriots.
Yeah.
You know who needs a new running back soon?
The Patriots.
No, Bill Belichick will probably. Yeah, the Patriots.
You know who needs
I'd
a new
love to
running
see
back,
Bell
though?
here, but I mean, Blunt's 31 years old. He's kind of at that age where the Patriots should look for a new featured back.
But what about
They have
James
Deion
White?
Lewis and.
What about,
Oh God! Where's Babcock here?
yeah, I
No.
was going to say James White is the GOAT here.
According to our Rams writer, Christian Babcock. But no, Deion Lewis and James White aren't featured back material. They're pass-catching backs, but they're Deion Lewis is injury-prone, and James White is good. He's solid, but he's very average. So the Patriots need a new, solid, just every down running back, and Blunt's been good. This is his best season on record, but he is at that running back age. He's hitting that wall, or he will soon, rather.
You know who else needs a running back and has a lot of cap space?
Who?
The Vikings.
Oh, God. Y'all have Adrian Peterson.
No, he is not coming back. I'm telling you right now, he's not coming back.
Is he? So is he? He's not retiring, is he?
No, the Vikings are cutting bait. There's no way they're paying him $18 million.
Oh no,
Jeez, that's such
if
a
you want
contract.
Dude, nobody
That
would
being
even
said,
pay
if he wants to come
Le'Veon
from-
Bell that much money, I don't think.
Yeah, no, he's not. Le'Veon Bell's not going to get Adrian Peterson money, I don't think.
if Adrian Peterson wants a ring, and he's willing to take a giant pay cut, Bill Belichick likes his veterans
Yes.
that have a little bit left in the tank.
They'll dump Blunt in
So
a
I'm
hurry for Peterson.
No, they'll keep Blunt on the thing just because he likes to have multiple backs. But
Well, then you got to cut the goat.
they'll take Adrian Peterson.
Then you got to cut the goat. James White
James
is
White.
gone. Babcock will not agree with this at all.
No, he won't. He won't be happy. Actually, or he might be. Maybe if the Rams pick him up, he'll be happy.
That's
Or
true.
He's not even a Rams fan. He just writes for the Rams.
Writes for the Rams. He's a UCLA fan, I think, isn't he?
I don't remember exactly. I know he likes Wisconsin because that's where James White went. But yeah, I don't know what his professional team is. I don't know. I don't remember.
He's just a lone ranger, just writing for the Rams. Doesn't have a team.
He's just a bandwagoner.
Yeah, like every Patriots fan. Oh, did I say that?
Oh no! I mean, it's such a bandwagon that I was born in Massachusetts and live here my whole life.
I was just kidding. Yeah, I was just kidding. Yeah, there's
I
a
know.
lot of Patriots bandwagoners, I think, but yeah, I don't think you're one.
I mean, I didn't know Atlanta fans existed until this year. Now they seem to be everywhere.
Yeah,
And then last year was the Panthers, and the year before that was the Seahawks.
Yep. You're gonna have Before that, all the way back, keep on going. The bandwagon
Also, this year was
history.
also the Raiders. Yeah. This year was also the Raiders.
Yeah.
And just like all of a sudden, there's a lot of Golden State Warriors fans.
Hey, I'm a Curry
Before the
fan.
last few years, I like Steph Curry.
I'm a huge Golden State fan. Let's go.
Finally,
Let's go Fighters.
you like some NBA team. The Fighters.
He just knows Steph Curry.
Let's go Pelicans.
Hey,
That's not the team you want to root for.
He knows a total of 3 NBA teams after this podcast.
There we go. You're expanding. The really important one you need to know is the Celtics, because they're kind of like the Steelers, because they have the most wins, the most championships out of any NBA franchise.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like the Steelers.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But they're not the Steelers.
Yeah, they're not. So how much money will Le'Veon desire? I don't know. I think he'll definitely want close to where Antonio Brown's gonna make, maybe $10 million, but I don't know. It's kind of up in the air, I guess. But do you think it's a priority to get both of those guys re-signed this offseason?
Yes, absolutely.
Which one would you put
Question.
more priority over the other?
So
That's kind of difficult, just because I am never comfortable with putting too many resources into a position like running back.
Yeah.
Just because the position's so fungible.
Yes.
You can find a decent back especially in this draft class. You can pick up a guy like,
Wayne Gallman.
even just a guy like Aaron Jones at a UTEP. I mean, he should be a good guy you can find in the middle rounds. And so,
Kareem Hunt.
but
Toledo.
But you can, where was I going with this? The Steelers offense kind of runs through Le'Veon Bell, or at least it did this season, which is why I think he will be a priority to resign. But at the same time, Antonio Brown's been so loyal to the organization. He's been on this dirt cheap deal for the past 4 or 5 years. And he's just kind of, people say like with that Facebook Live video talking about, off-field issues, he could have given the team so many more headaches.
Oh yeah.
Because, he's been a top receiver in the league for the past 2-3 years, and he said nothing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And so I think it'd be really good to reward Antonio Brown with a contract.
Yeah, I think I actually predicted that Antonio Brown was gonna break almost all the records at the receiver position this year. That didn't happen, but he still had a pretty good year.
he still beat who was it? He still beat Brandon Marshall in their bet.
Yeah, he won his Porsche.
Hey, Jay Cutler is an MVP candidate, okay?
The what now?
Jay Cutler is an MVP candidate. Don't be fooled.
Nah, you mean Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, well, he used to say that about Cutler, and now, he's saying that about him, too. It's like, would you just be quiet, Brandon? Seriously?
No. Yeah. Although apparently Brandon Marshall, I'm going to bring this back all segment. Brandon Marshall likes the Patriots, so, if he wants to come here, I guess we'll take him.
Yeah.
I guess.
He can be your Deion Branch, your Randy Moss, sort of. Not quite that good.
No, we already have Randy Moss. We already have Chris Hogan, who's literally Randy Moss.
Yeah, there you go. and then when Tom Brady retires after the Super Bowl, he'll get bad again.
He was good. They just didn't know how to use him.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You hate white Randy Moss? Why? I can't imagine why.
No, I just think he'll be bad after Tom Brady's gone. Or unless he plays with Aaron Rodgers or another really good quarterback.
That's fair.
I think it's like the James Jones thing. James Jones was only good with Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, it's some receivers are like that. Well, it's also like how much do you attribute the receiver or the quarterback who's. It's even like in New England, like who's really the better of the two? Is it Brady or Belichick?
Yeah.
So it's kind of this like Chris Hogan balled out in that game, but at the same time, how much of it is Brady just being Brady?
Yeah, I love how Skip Bayless just like says nothing about Belichick. He like downplays everything Belichick does. He cost the Patriots that Super Bowl. He cost them that Super Bowl. It's like, Skip, shut up.
But he likes Brady, so I'll give him that.
Yes, he does like Brady. He's a closet Patriots fan, except he hates Bill Belichick.
I don't know why.
I
guess I can understand. I guess I can understand if you're not a Patriots fan that you can hate Bill Belichick.
But he loves Tom Brady.
I understand. Which is just awkward at that point.
Yeah, I know. That's Skip Bayless for you. So, anyways, what do you guys think about Antonio Brown? Like, do you think that he was just kind of being himself with that Facebook Live fiasco? Do you expect any more like OBJ type fiascos in the future?
Before Matt goes on with this, hold on. Before you go on with this, I honestly didn't think it was that big of a deal. My major issues with it is that it was insubordination to the coach. Like, if coach is talking, shut up, sit down, and listen. That's the way it should be. That being said, I don't think it was that big of a deal. The Steelers didn't lose the game because Antonio Brown was on Facebook Live.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little. It's kind of funny because in the video you just hear all this no social media, and as Antonio Brown is smiling into the camera and like touching up his hair. Yeah, it was funny, but like Antonio Brown got paid like $250,000 from Facebook.
Holy smokes!
For being like, yeah, so like, I mean,
that's what you get, Steelers, for not paying me my money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
I'd like to just point out, though, that Antonio Brown has a really nice smile. Very, pearly whites, very photogenic smile. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
there's some, I don't know what it is about the Steelers organization. They just can find people who can smile. Hines Ward, now Antonio Brown.
If you want to go down that route, Patriots clearly the most handsome team in the NFL.
I'm not talking about handsome. I'm talking about just smiling.
No, I'm just saying. You got Tom Brady, you got Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think we already passed that part of the program there, Daniel.
I'm going back. I'm sorry.
Oh, but yeah, I don't know. I just think the media just outplays and overplays everything nowadays. It's like, oh my goodness, he went on Facebook Live. Okay, so.
And see, like that's why it becomes an off-field issue.
Yeah.
Because the people who are off the field are the ones making it a big deal.
Yeah. Yep.
Although I liked how Todd Bowles handled that. Not Todd Bowles. Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin. Yeah, that guy. Sorry, mixed up the wrong African American coaches for a second.
Matthew, you're welcome. You're welcome, by the way, for the Vikings' gift of Mike Tomlin to you as a Steelers fan.
Oh yeah, no, he's pretty great. I love him.
2 Super Bowl appearances.
I have my issues with Tomlin.
He's not perfect.
Is he a cheerleader?
You know,
he's not bad. I'll say this: he's not bad.
I mean,
you could do a lot worse than Mike Tomlin.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could be Chuck Pagano, for example. You could be the Colts and have Chuck Pagano.
Or Chip Kelly with the 49ers, or whoever the Jaguars just hired.
Wow, not even Gus Bradley, who they just hired. You're anticipating their downfall already?
Yes. Well, Gus Bradley was pretty bad too, but yeah.
What was it, Doug Marrone or something like that?
Yeah, Doug Marrone.
Yeah, Doug Marrone.
Yeah. So
I forgot. I wrote an article about that.
Oh, yes.
Well,
And you can catch both Daniel and Matthew's work at armchairallamericans.com. And mine as well.
and yeah, I was gonna say some of Carson's work too. You can see on there.
Yeah, go ahead, Matthew.
I was just gonna say you can follow us on Twitter at Armchair NFL.
Also, sorry, I can't talk, guys. At AC All Americans on Twitter, both of those.
Yes, and you can follow
have some
this
great-
show on Twitter as well at Don't Know Jack Show, and go to the website youdon'tknowjackshow.com.
Just a bunch of self plugs.
Yes, plug. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So Art Rooney believes Pittsburgh should get a better pass rush and be more efficient in the red zone. Do you agree, Matthew, that those are the only two flaws or the biggest issues anyway?
Yeah, definitely. Part of it is just executing on on offense. But yeah, on defense, it's definitely edge rusher. The first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, the Steelers had like 2 sacks or something like that. And it was just awful. And they had probably the worst pair of starting outside linebackers. I think James Harrison, who's going to be 39 next season, is going to be playing. He's going to be coming back. And then they have Bud Dupree, who's still kind of developing. So, yeah, absolutely. And I'm one of those guys where, like, a team can never have enough edge rushers. So I fully expect them to take 2 or 3, even 2, maybe even 3 edge rush type players in the draft.
Okay.
Also, I forgot to mention something, so I'm going to bring it back. It has to do with Le'Veon Bell. Martinez, does Bell's inability to stop smoking weed hurt his contract?
Well, okay. I was wondering if you were going to bring this up.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell was caught smoking marijuana once by when he was with LeGarrette Blount. The second time he was suspended was for missing a drug test. Yeah.
Well, but if you're missing a drug test, I feel like that's almost I'm not taking this because I know I'm gonna fail.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, okay.
It's like
the,
when you
the,
don't
the
show
thing
up
is
for a
with this
test
is,
in college. Obviously, you're not showing up. Well, obviously, yeah, a lot of times you can't do that. But like in high school, when you weren't prepared for a test, you weren't going to show up.
Well, the thing because once you're caught like that and you start getting suspended, you're in the NFL drug program.
Yeah.
And so when you're in stage 1 of the drug program, they can call you pretty much at any time and say, hey, you need to do this test or whatever. And Le'Veon Bell was in the middle of rehabbing his knee injury, and he couldn't make it to the drug test in time. And what makes me so confident that he wasn't smoking was that he went to the league and he met with the league and he got his suspension reduced from 4 games to 3. And then what the league said was, you're still suspended for these 3 games, but you're not going to move to stage 2 of the drug program. You're going to stay in stage 1.
Yeah.
So let's just say I'm an idiot and Le'Veon Bell does end up smoking weed again. He would still only be suspended for 4 games instead of, I think it'd go up to 10 next time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The league's not messing around.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like 5 years from now, we're not even going to probably be talking about this anymore because weed, I think, is going to be legalized within 5 years, I would say.
Well, I live in Massachusetts and it just became legalized.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at least for medical use, I think it's going to be legalized everywhere because you can't deny the medical benefits of marijuana.
No, not at all. That being said, kids say no to dope. We're not condoning drugs on this show.
No. Just medical use, guys.
Yeah, get yourself glaucoma or something.
No, we're not
Say
condoning that
you have
either.
trouble in crowds.
Oh my. I think we better move on here.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah.
So going back to the pass rush, I think they have some pieces there, like Cameron Hayward. They still have him, right? And Stephen Tuitt.
Yeah, he was injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cam Hayward was hurt in week 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stephon Tuitt's there too.
But yeah, I think they might need another guy.
Well, they need outside linebackers. They found a really good defensive tackle in Javon Hargrave this season, in this past draft in the 3rd round, and he. So like when the Steelers play about 75% of their defense out of their base and in their nickel. And so what's cool about Javon Hargrave is he has the ability to rush the passer. So he can go in there and kind of replace Stephon Tuitt and Cam Hayward so that they can get a breather and they can still rush the passer out of their nickel. But yeah, their edge rushers, their outside linebackers could definitely use some help.
Yeah. Yeah, I think red zone efficiency obviously is a big part too. I know that as a Vikings fan, we settle for way too many field goals inside the 20. But yeah, I think that's definitely a big factor. Obviously, in the New England game when they could not stop the other team's offense, obviously Brady, and then when you can't score points your own, then obviously that's not good when you can't get touchdowns inside the red zone.
But you're talking about the New England game. Did you watch the Kansas City game?
Yeah, that game too.
Where they kicked? Yeah. That was ridiculous. That was frustrating.
Yes, not as
frustrating as that was. That's almost impressive that they won solely off of field goals.
Yes, and it's still not as awful as a 27-yard missed field goal. Moving on again. Any other Steelers thoughts from either one of you guys? Predictions? Anything?
No. The only thing I gotta say is they need to work on that defense.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they should be perennially like first and second round. Not first and second round. Number 1 and number 2 overall seeds.
Yeah.
Is what they should be.
Yeah. Martinez, anything else?
Yeah, they just need to work on consistency.
Yep. All right. So that will do it for Steelers talk. We'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk Vikings, and then we'll close the show with Super Bowl. It's already taking a lot longer than we anticipated. We're just having so much fun on this episode of the You Don't Know Jack Show. So we'll be back, and we'll talk Vikings right after this.
Hey, listeners, don't forget to find You Don't Know Jack Show on Facebook at facebook.com/You Don't Know Jack Show, Twitter at twitter.com/Don't Know Jack Show, and Instagram at instagram.com/You Don't Know Jack Show. You can also follow Carson on Twitter at Radio Ruben. Now back to the show.
And welcome back to the You Don't Know Jack Show. Again, joined by Daniel Neira and Matthew Martinez of the Armchair All-Americans NFL podcast, and they write for ArmchairAllAmericans.com. Daniel for the Patriots and Matthew for the Steelers. You can go back and listen. I don't know why you would skip to this part in the podcast, but if you did, you can go back and listen to Patriots and Steelers talk. I feel like I'm on a radio show right now, but it's a podcast. Anyways, we will talk about the Vikings, and actually I'm going to just turn this over to you guys. You guys can ask me some Vikings questions if you want. I've got some written on the show notes, but if you guys got some Vikings questions, feel free to let me know here.
I don't have the show notes in front of me, but the real quick answer is, do you think Teddy Bridgewater is playing next season, or is he still not playing?
That is a good question, and it's probably the most common question among Vikings fans. And I guess the short answer is no, I don't think he'll start the season. But I think he will have a chance of coming back middle of the season. But I just don't see him starting unless Bradford's just really terrible.
And okay, so even later on in the season, do you think Bradford keeps the starting quarterback job the entire season?
I think that Bradford's got a good chance of doing that. I think he had probably his best season by far in the NFL this season, and I think if the Vikings get him a solid offensive line, get him a good running back combination, whether it's somebody combined with Jerick McKinnon in the draft, or they sign somebody to pair with Jerick McKinnon, I think those two things will help Sam Bradford out enormously. And Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs are emerging. I think those two weapons help out. Kyle Rudolph just had his best season of his career. And I think if Laquan Treadwell can pull his head out of his you-know-what, I think the Vikings offense could be pretty good.
Going off of that, what is there to do about Cordell Patterson, who apparently is pretty frustrated that he's not playing as much as he should be?
Yeah.
Or he thinks he should be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I'll have to write an article about that too. But yeah, I think Patterson may have to go somewhere else to be fully implemented into an offense. I think the Vikings definitely still want to keep him as a kick returner, but I just don't know how much they're willing to put him in the offense unless they decide to change positions for him. If he plays running back, then maybe the Vikings decide to keep him.
Wasn't he what round was he drafted? I thought he was a fairly high round.
Yes.
He was a first-round draft pick.
The highest round there is. Yeah.
He was a first-round draft pick, and was he just not that good? Like, was he just kind of a bust? Or is it just the Vikings not using him properly?
Well, I could go both ways on that. He was very raw coming out of Tennessee. I don't know if either one of you remember him coming out of Tennessee, but he did not have a lot of polished route running. He was not. The route running was huge. He only ran like 2 or 3 routes, I think a lot of people say, at Tennessee. Maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but his route running and timing with quarterbacks is just not translated to the NFL, and I think that's been a problem. And maybe you can blame the Vikings a little bit on that, but I think George Stewart, who just got hired by the new LA Chargers, their wide receivers coach, I think he's pretty good. So if he couldn't teach him, then I don't know who can. But I could see him going to the Patriots and just being a star player. So.
Oh, I mean, that's happened a lot.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
You said that the Vikings could use some offensive line help, and I know that left tackle spot is really was kind of an issue this season.
Yeah.
Although I do know that you had a lot of injuries. Even still, Matt Khalil was not that impressive.
No.
I don't know how much you look into the draft or anything, but this is a pretty weak draft class for offensive linemen.
Yeah, it is.
So do you think that the Vikings are going to try and overdraft like one of the top, a guy like Ramchek out of Wisconsin? They draft him, and it's just kind of a reach for like where they pick him.
Well, the Vikings don't have a first-round pick, if you didn't know, because of the Sam Bradford trade.
Oh, yeah.
So the Vikings would
I guess that makes me look dumb, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, because if the Vikings do want to trade up for the best offensive lineman of the class, which I think he is, which is not saying a whole lot, but I do think he could have a good career in the NFL. But I just don't know if the Vikings would trade. They do have a lot of assets. They still have 5 picks in the first 4 rounds, I think, because they have 2 in the 4th and 2 in the 3rd, I think. So they've got plenty of other ammunition to maybe trade back into the first round. And if they don't see if Rick Spielman, who's notorious for trading back into the first round, if he decides to say, hey, I think Ramchek could could be a good lineman, and if he starts falling outside the top 10, which he could very well, if he continues to fall, then I think then you might have Spielman taking a chance on him.
Okay, well, let me rephrase it a little bit so I don't look as dumb. Do you think that, let's say that the Vikings don't trade back into the first round, do you think they spend multiple picks? Like I said, the Steelers would take. I would hope the Steelers take like at least 2 edge rushers in the draft. Do you think that the Vikings are going to spend multiple picks on the offensive line?
I personally, I think I would like the Vikings to go into the free agency class of the offensive line, which is not the greatest at the tackle position either, but I think it's better at the tackle position than free agent or than the draft is. I like Andrew Whitworth, who's like 35 or 36 years old, but I think if you can get him on a 1 to 2 year deal, he's still playing at a high level at his age. I think if you get him on a 1 to 2 year deal, he can be the bridge gap to the next or the future left tackle. I don't think Matt Khalil is the answer, and I think if you get him on that 1 to 2 year deal, he can be your left tackle for a year or two till you draft a replacement that's good enough. And then I like Kevin Zeitler, guard from Cincinnati. I also like some other guards. Warmack from, I think it's Jacksonville, and there's a couple other ones that I've mentioned in an article I wrote, actually, that are really intriguing options at the guard position if you want to get a replacement for Brandon Fusco, who has not been very good since he signed his 5-year extension. So I can see the Vikings maybe doing that, and then just spending the draft picks on, like, a safety to go opposite of Harrison Smith, or another defensive tackle if Sharif Floyd doesn't re-sign, or a running back to pair with Jerick McKinnon, if assuming you don't get Adrian Peterson to stay, or if you don't want him to stay, which I don't, by the way. So, but yeah, I guess that's what I got on that. Daniel?
Cool. I don't have too much to say because I'm not too into college ball, so I don't know too much about the draft, and I don't know like how many players or what players are going to have what position coming out of college, and how heavy or how deep this draft is in certain positions. That being said, I mean, seems like the Vikings defense is already legit. Seems like they have. I mean, Stephon Diggs is amazing. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't like Jared McKinnon that much. I don't think he's that great.
Okay.
Adrian Peterson is obviously great, but his contract is hurting the team.
He's old.
And not to mention that he might he's old and injured. Mm-hmm. So it might be time to move on from Adrian Peterson. So honestly, I kind of agree. Although apparently it's not an offensive line heavy draft. Maybe I do think what you said is a very valid point. Like, get a placeholder. That'll help. And I think draft a running back, which apparently this class has a lot of good running backs.
Yes, it does.
So put alongside Jared McKinnon. And at this point, I think, because Bradford isn't a bad quarterback, in my opinion. He's not bad. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's not bad. And so give him more weapons, or give him something to help him more, because that defense looked legit, and then it kind of fell apart. So at some point, and then it looked legit again.
Yeah.
So
I want to try and
work on your defense more, or maybe get a weapon.
Yeah, I want to try and sway your opinion on Jerick McKinnon a second. So Jerick McKinnon, his first 2 years in the NFL as a kind of a complementary, kind of a 1-2 punch type of a back. He went with Asiata his first year, and then obviously got some carries when Peterson ran for, I think, 1,100 yards last year or something to that effect. He actually averaged 4.9 yards per carry his first 2 years, and this year obviously was not good, but he was still the leader in yards per carry over Asiata and Peterson. Obviously Peterson didn't play in very many games, but I think and the Vikings offensive line also ranked dead last in run blocking from multiple sources online. So I just don't think McKinnon could run behind that line. And honestly, I don't think many running backs would be able to run behind that line.
Okay, that's fair. Because I didn't think of it from that perspective, which I kind of should have. And because a lot of people seem to think that it is solely the running back's job to pick up yards on the ground, which it's not. A lot of it, honestly, a good 90% of it comes from the offensive line.
Yeah.
And that was proven in New England last year when everyone in New England was calling for Blunt said, like, Blunt sucks, he's terrible, get him off the field, we want someone else, we need someone new, we need a new running back.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year he's leading the league in rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that's because the offensive line for New England last year was garbage, and this year it's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fair. Granted, I didn't watch Jerick McKinnon the last 2 seasons. I saw him a little bit more this season, and this season I wasn't impressed. But I didn't think about the offensive line, so that's a very valid point.
Yeah, again, the offensive line is one of the worst at run blocking, and I think a lot of the pass part of it. I mean, Bradford did get sacked 37 times. The line was supposedly better. You can say air quotes around was better the second half of the year because it's like, well, Sam Bradford was getting rid of the ball in 2 seconds, like almost every time he threw the ball because they knew that they couldn't trust TJ Clemmings for who some reason was still on the team, let alone starting. He was bad, and they knew they had to get rid of the ball quickly. Otherwise, he was going to lose a lot of one-on-one battles with whoever that right defensive end was. And then the right tackle position, obviously Andre Smith, he was not even that good the first 2 games, and then he came in and he was not very good. And then he came in with an injury and was out for the year. And then Matt Khalil also was on IR for the rest of the year. So, I mean, you had multiple injuries on the offensive line, but the Vikings should have maybe done a little bit better homework on knowing some of these guys' history. Like I think they really expected John Sullivan to come back and be the player he was, and Phil Lodeholt. They got competition. But I don't know. I just didn't think they got enough competition last offseason, and I think they need to not make that mistake again this offseason.
And real quick, kind of just question on Bradford. Didn't Bradford have the best completion percentage this season among quarterbacks?
If you're putting it in air quotes again, then yes. And I'll explain that. Because Bradford broke the record for completion percentage in NFL history, actually, at 71.4 or whatever it is. But there is a very, 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 what do you want to say, very opposite side to that if you look into the fine details of it. Because his average depth per target was like 5 yards. He did not throw the ball down the field very far at all. So, I mean, I would still say Drew Brees is the champion in that category because Drew Brees throws the ball down the field, and he had the previous record. Yeah.
Brees, man.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Bradford had the best season of his career, which is not saying a whole lot, but I just think that record is very, very skewed. That'd be a good word to say.
Bradford won't lose you games, but he won't really win you that many either.
Yeah, and even this year,
solid place holding quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. He is he's never gone above 500 in his career as a starter, and I don't even know if he's been 500 as a starter, maybe once or twice. And this year he wasn't because he didn't start the first game. So, and maybe another year in the Vikings system would help him out in that area too, because he did get traded like less than 2 weeks before the start of the season.
I mean, yeah, not for nothing, but the Vikings made it to the first round of the playoffs last year, did they not?
They did. And thank you, not Blair Walsh.
What?
Sorry.
That's fair.
Sorry. I'm
Wide
bringing it
left.
up again, Vikings fan. Yeah.
Are you still like? Is it still sore?
It's still sore, yes, but it's not quite as sore as Brett Favre's interception in the NFC Championship game in 2009.
Damn.
Yeah, that
You're
game
going
was
back
rough.
even.
Should we
Going
go
back even
back
farther.
to Should we go back to 1998? Gary Anderson wide left too, or wide right? I don't remember. I was 2 years old back then, so I really don't know.
You just know it was wide.
Yes, it was outside the uprights.
You want to talk about crushing? No, I'm not going to get into it. I was going to talk about 18-0.
Oh, yeah, that would hurt too.
Oh, please. Cry me a river.
But that's why I didn't get into it, because there was like, whoa, no, you're the Patriots. You already had 3 rings. You
Yes.
had a perfect regular season.
I mean,
Yeah, but
that
we
is
didn't win
crushing.
it all, and that's the ultimate goal.
Hey, that's the same thing, like, basically that just happened to the Warriors. You know, blow a 3-1 lead, and you
Yeah.
had the best record in league history. We're going to try and be the better team, better than Michael Jordan's Bulls and all that stuff. But you didn't win the ring, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. The difference here is I feel like if you matched up the Giants and the Patriots for a best out of 7, the Patriots win the best out of 7.
Yeah, no doubt. They'd win the next 5. Those 2, you're not going to have David Tyree and Mario Manningham come back from their graves, even though they're not dead. But in football, they're dead.
They're football graves, which is relevant.
Yes. And LBJ can't catch a pass in the playoffs, so.
Something about a boat.
In Miami.
Yeah.
Any other Vikings thoughts for you guys or questions for me? Otherwise, we can switch tides to Super Bowl after a break.
You guys have really cool uniforms, and your new stadium is pretty dank.
Yeah, the new stadium's awesome. I was there in week 5 for the Houston game, the peak of the Vikings' success, 5-0. And yeah, after I left, I should have just stayed. After I left, things went bad, so I should have just stayed.
It's all your fault. Vikings fans, you can blame Carson.
Yes, you can blame me. And I also called into a Vikings podcast that I listen to regularly and said, we're playing well with all these injuries. What's stopping us? Is there anything stopping us? And there was something stopping
It was you.
Yeah, it was me. I'm
I mean,
a fan. None of my teams ever win.
I have a superstitious fun fact, but I don't know how appropriate it is.
Uh-oh. This isn't a family show, so you're okay.
Okay, so the Patriots are undefeated in games where me and my girlfriend, I'll let you fill in the blanks.
Okay. Fair enough.
So
you're going
So-
I don't
for
believe
the
that.
Super-
I don't believe that because the Patriots win a lot.
yeah, but I'm saying the times that it has happened during a game, the Patriots are undefeated.
So you
The most recent one being the Steelers game.
So let me get this straight. When the Patriots are playing, you and your girlfriend are having a fun time?
Not always, but the times that it has happened, the Patriots are undefeated.
So do you do
And like I said, the most recent one,
never mind. I'm not
the
gonna
most
get any
recent
more
one being the Steelers game. I'm sorry, Martinez.
I think we're gonna draw the line on that one now.
Yeah, that's fair.
This could be an off-air conversation. All right, I think that should just about do it for Vikings talk. Unless Martinez, you got another question for me yet?
Nope, not right now.
All right. Well,
Maybe some other time.
maybe another time. That's right. So, all right. Well, we've already been on air for a long time. So, we will come back and we'll talk Super Bowl for the remaining time. We'll be back right after this break.
Heading to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Baltimore, New York, London, or anywhere in the world and need a rent-a-car? Well, check out CarRental8.com, where you'll find the same car for less money. CarRental8.com sells all the brands like Dollar, Thrifty, Budget, Avis, Hertz, Alamo, Europcar, and so much more at affordable rates. We'll beat any price by a minimum of 30%. So check us out online at CarRental8.com or call us at 1-813-343-8138. That's 1-813-343-8138.
Use the promo JACKSHOW5, that's JACSHOW5, to get 5% off your next car rental. Use all capital letters when you type in the promo code. Now back to the show.